The ship moved through the darkness of space like a silver needle. It was the year 2847, and humanity had finally done what their ancestors only dreamed about. They had built a ship that could travel between the stars. They had found other life in the universe. And now they were going to meet them. Admiral Park Suho stood on the bridge of the ESS Horizon. He was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen many battles. But today was not about war. Today was about peace. Today, humanity would ask to join the Galactic Council, a group of alien species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Beside him stood Ambassador Kim Yuna. She was younger than the Admiral, with sharp eyes and a calm voice. In her hands, she held a folder. Inside that folder was humanity's formal request to join the Council. It had taken years to write. Every word had been chosen with care. "There it is," said Park, pointing at the viewing screen. The space station of Vedis Prime appeared before them. It was massive, bigger than anything humans had ever built. It floated above a gray planet, its surface covered with lights and towers. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved around it like insects around a hive. "It is beautiful," said Kim Yuna softly. "It is powerful," Park replied. "Remember that. These species have had thousands of years to grow strong. We are new here. We must be humble." The Horizon docked at the station. The airlock opened, and the human delegation stepped into a new world. The corridors were wide and tall, built for creatures much larger than humans. Strange smells filled the air. Strange sounds echoed from distant halls. Waiting for them was a guide, a small creature with 4 arms and skin like blue leather. It looked at the humans with curious eyes. "You are the Earth beings?" it asked. Its voice was high and musical. "We are," said Ambassador Kim. "We are honored to be here." The guide made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Follow me? The Council is waiting." "They are curious about you." The walk to the Council chamber took nearly an hour. Along the way, the humans saw wonders they could not have imagined. Gardens that floated in zero gravity. Machines that seemed to be alive. Creatures of every shape, color, and size. But they also saw something else. They saw how the other species looked at them. Some looked curious. Some looked confused. But many looked at them the way a person might look at an insect that had wandered into their home. Finally, they reached the Council chamber. The doors were massive, made of some dark metal that seemed to absorb light. They opened slowly, revealing the heart of galactic power. The chamber was round, like a great bowl. Seats rose up on all sides, filled with representatives of the 12 founding species. At the center was a raised platform where the humans were meant to stand. Above them, looking down, were the rulers of the galaxy. High Counselor Threx presided over the assembly. He was a Valorian, an insectoid creature with a body like a giant mantis and wings made of crystal. When he moved, the wings caught the light and scattered it into rainbows. But there was nothing beautiful about his eyes. They were cold and hard, like black stones. "So," Threx said, his voice clicking and buzzing through a translator device. "These are the humans." Ambassador Kim stepped forward. She bowed deeply, showing respect. "High Counselor, honored members of the Galactic Council. I am Kim Yuna, Ambassador of the United Earth Government. We come before you today with humble hearts and open hands. We wish to join your council. We wish to be part of your great community." Silence filled the chamber. Then, from somewhere in the upper seats, came a sound. It was laughter. Delegate Morvax of the Kelthian Dominion rose from his seat. He was huge, easily 3 meters tall, with scales like green armor and teeth like knives. The Kelthians were known throughout the galaxy as conquerors. They had taken 17 star systems by force. They feared nothing. "Join us?" Morvax laughed again, a deep rumbling sound. "Look at them. They are tiny, weak. They have no fleet. They have no colonies. They have been traveling between stars for less than 50 of their years. And they think they can sit among us?" More laughter came from around the chamber. Different kinds of laughter, clicks and whistles and rumbles, but all of it cruel. Park Suho felt his hands close into fists. Beside him, Dr. Lihana, the mission's chief scientist, put a gentle hand on his arm. "Not yet," she whispered. "Not here." Ambassador Kim did not flinch. Her voice remained calm. "We know we are young. We know we're small. But we have much to offer. Our scientists have made discoveries that might interest you. Our artists create beauty that—" "Beauty?" Threx interrupted. His crystal wings clicked together with a sound like breaking glass. "We have no need of your primitive beauty. We have no need of your primitive science. You are children. You have nothing we want." Kim tried again. "If you would only give us a chance." "A chance?" A new voice spoke. It came from a creature that looked like a living shadow, dark and shifting. This was Vex, representative of the Umbral Collective. "The Valorians gave my people a chance. They gave us the chance to serve them for 3,000 years. Is that the chance you want, little human?" Some of the laughter stopped. There was old pain in those words. Old anger. But Threx waved a clawed hand, and Vex fell silent. "The Council has heard your request," Threx announced. "The answer is no. Return to your world, humans. Stay in your little corner of the galaxy. Perhaps in another 1,000 years, when you have grown, you may ask again. If you survive that long." The laughter returned, louder than before. Ambassador Kim stood frozen, the folder in her hand suddenly feeling very heavy. "Guards," Threx said, "escort these creatures back to their ship." As the human delegation was led away, Park Suho walked beside Lihana. His face was like stone, but his eyes burned with cold fire. "They think we are weak," he said quietly. "Yes," Lihana replied. "They think we are primitive." "Yes." Park looked back at the closing doors of the council chamber. Inside, he could still hear the sounds of alien laughter. "They are wrong," he said. Lihana nodded slowly. "Yes, they are." What the Galactic Council did not know, what they could not have guessed, was that humanity had been preparing for this day for a very long time. For 300 years, Earth scientists had been catching signals from space. They had found pieces of crashed alien ships. They had studied. They had learned. They had built. The Horizon was not humanity's best ship. It was not even close. Humanity's real fleet was hidden, waiting in the darkness between worlds, waiting for the day when it would be needed. That day had just arrived. As the Horizon left Vethis Prime and began its long journey home, Park Suho stood alone on the observation deck. He watched the station grow smaller and smaller until it was just another point of light among the stars. "Laugh now," he said softly to the empty room. "Laugh while you still can." Behind him, the door opened. Ambassador Kim walked in. Her face was tired, but her eyes were determined. "What do we tell Earth?" she asked. Park did not turn around. "We tell them the truth. The galaxy does not want peace. The galaxy wants to laugh at us." He paused. "And then we tell them to wake up the Shadow Fleet." Kim was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded. "I will prepare the message," she said. And far away, on 100 secret stations, hidden throughout the solar system, 300 warships began to stir from their long sleep. The Galactic Council mocked humanity until Earth unleashed a war that shattered the stars. Part 2. The Betrayal 6. Months had passed since the humiliation at Vethis Prime. Life on Earth continued as it always had. People went to work. Children went to school. Families gathered for meals. Most humans had heard about what happened at the council, but it seemed far away, like a story from another world. Which, in a way, it was. But in the deep bunkers beneath the city of Seoul, there was no peace. There was only preparation. Supreme Commander Cho Min-ho stood before a wall of screens. Each screen showed a different part of humanity's secret defense network. Ships being built in hidden factories. Weapons being tested in deep space. Soldiers training in simulated alien environments. All of it happening in the shadows, far from the eyes of the galaxy. Cho was not a tall man, but he had a presence that made others stand straighter when he entered a room. His face was lined with years of service, and his eyes held the weight of countless difficult decisions. He had spent his entire life preparing for a war he hoped would never come. Today, that hope died. "Sir," said a young officer, her voice tight with fear, "we have multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace. 12 ships. Big ones." Cho turned to look at the main screen. There, hanging in the darkness above Earth, was a Kelthian war fleet. 12 dreadnoughts, each one large enough to hold a small city inside it. Their hulls were covered with weapons. Their engines glowed with barely contained power. "The Kelthians," Cho said quietly. They decided not to wait. The main screen flickered, and a face appeared. It was Vorath, fleet commander of the Kelthian Dominion. His scales were dark green, almost black, and a long scar ran across his face from eye to jaw. He smiled, showing rows of teeth that could bite through steel. "People of Earth," Vorath's voice boomed through every speaker on the planet. "I am Commander Vorath of the Kelthian Dominion. Your leaders insulted us by asking to join the council. They embarrassed themselves. They embarrassed you. Now, they will pay the price." In homes and offices across the world, people stopped what they were doing. They looked up at screens, at phones, at any device that could receive the signal. Fear began to spread like cold water. "You have one rotation of your planet," Vorath continued. "One day. Surrender everything. Your ships, your resources, your people. You will serve the Dominion. You will work for us. You will die for us if we command it. Or," he paused, and his smile grew wider, "we will burn your world to ash. We will kill every man, woman, and child. We will erase your species from history. The choice is yours." The transmission ended. Silence followed. Then, slowly, panic began to build. But in the bunker beneath Seoul, there was no panic. There was only cold determination. Cho turned to face his war council. Admiral Park Suho was there, his face hard as iron. General Baek Jisoo, commander of Earth's ground forces, stood with her arms crossed and her eyes calculating. Dr. Lee Hana sat at a computer terminal, her fingers already flying across the keyboard. "They think we are defenseless," Cho said. "They are about to learn differently," Park replied. Cho nodded. "Admiral, the Shadow Fleet." "It is time." Park stepped forward to a special communication panel. He pressed his hand against a scanner, and a light turned green. Then he spoke 4 words that changed the course of history. Authorization code: Phoenix Rising. Across the solar system, in places no one had ever thought to look, humanity's true fleet began to wake. Ships hidden in asteroid fields powered up their engines. Ships buried beneath the surface of the moon broke free from their camouflage. Ships hiding in the radiation belts of Jupiter emerged from the storm. 300 warships. Not the slow, primitive vessels the galaxy expected. These were something else entirely. For 300 years, humanity had studied every piece of alien technology they could find. They had learned. They had improved. They had created. The Kelthians detected the energy signatures too late. On the bridge of his flagship, Commander Vorath stared at his tactical display. Red dots were appearing everywhere. Dozens of them. Hundreds of them. All converging on Earth. What is this? He demanded. Where did these ships come from? His officers had no answer. There was no answer that made sense. The first human ship to arrive was the ESS Hammer, commanded by Captain Yum Sira. It was smaller than the Kelthian dreadnoughts, but it moved like nothing Vorath had ever seen. Fast, agile, impossible. Open fire! Vorath commanded. The Kelthian weapons spoke. Energy beams and missiles filled the space around Earth, but the human ship seemed to know where every shot would go before it was fired. They danced between the attacks like leaves in the wind, and then they fired back. The particle lances had been Dr. Lihana's greatest creation. They were weapons that used principles of physics the Kelthians did not even know existed. The first shot struck Vorath's flagship and went through its shields as if they were not there. Metal melted. Systems failed. Crew members screamed. Impossible, Vorath whispered. They were supposed to be primitives. Admiral Park's voice came through the communication channel, calm and clear. Commander Vorath, this is Admiral Park Suho of the United Earth Defense Force. You came to our home. You threatened our families. You laughed at us. A pause. We are not laughing. The battle lasted 4 hours. 4 hours of chaos and fire and death. The Kelthians fought hard. They were warriors, after all. They had conquered many worlds. But they had never faced anything like this. Human ships struck from angles that seemed impossible. Human weapons cut through Kelthian armor like hot knives through butter. Human tactics used the very fabric of space against the enemy, pulling them into traps, pushing them into CROSSFIREs. By the end, 11 of the 12 Kelthian dreadnoughts were nothing but debris orbiting Earth. Only Vorath's flagship remained. Broken and burning, its weapons silent, its engines dead. Vorath sat alone on what was left of his bridge. Around him, the bodies of his crew floated in zero gravity. Blood hung in the air like red mist. Through the cracked view screen, he could see the Earth, blue and green and beautiful. The world he had meant to conquer now looked back at him like an enemy that had won. His communication system still worked. Barely. With shaking hands, he activated a long-range transmission. It would take days to reach the Council, but it would reach them. This is Commander Vorath, he said, his voice weak. The invasion has failed. The humans, they were not what we expected. They have ships, weapons, technology we do not understand. They were hiding. They were waiting. He coughed, and blood came up. Warn the others. Warn everyone. The humans are not primitives. The humans are not weak. The humans are... He never finished the sentence. A final human shot struck the remains of his ship, and Commander Vorath died along with his fleet. On Earth, the celebration began. People poured into the streets. They cheered. They cried. They hugged strangers and danced under the night sky. They had been threatened with death, and they had survived. But in the bunker beneath Seoul, there was no celebration. Cho Min-ho stood before his war council once more, his face grim. They will come again, he said. More of them? The whole council, maybe. This was just the beginning. Admiral Park nodded. Then we take the fight to them. We do not wait for them to come here. We go out there. We show them what humanity can do. General Baek Jisu unfolded her arms. What about the other species? The ones the Kelthians conquered? We free them, Cho said. We give them a choice. Join us or stay neutral. But we show them there is another way. The Council rules through fear. We will rule through respect. Dr. Lihana looked up from her terminal. The Kelthian fleet carried records. Star maps. Locations of their colonies, their slaves, their resources. I have all of it. Joe smiled for the first time in months. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who finally understood his purpose. "Then we know where to go," he said. "Admiral Park, prepare the fleet. We are going to war." And so, for the first time in human history, the ships of Earth left their solar system not as explorers or diplomats, but as warriors. They flew toward the stars with fire in their hearts and weapons in their hands. The galaxy had laughed at them. Now, the galaxy would learn to fear them. Or perhaps, if humanity had its way, the galaxy would learn something even more powerful. Hope. The Galactic Council mocked humanity until Earth unleashed a war that shattered the stars. Part 3. The rising the news of the Kelthian defeat spread through the galaxy like wildfire. At first, no one believed it. The Kelthians were one of the most powerful species in the Council. They had conquered countless worlds. They had never lost a major battle, but the evidence was impossible to ignore. The debris field around Earth was visible to any ship that passed through the system. 12 dreadnoughts reduced to metal fragments. An entire invasion fleet destroyed in hours. The galaxy began to pay attention to Earth. Captain Shin Do-hyun stood on the bridge of the ESS Retaliation, watching the stars streak past as the ship traveled through hyperspace. He was a young commander, only 35 years old, but he had proven himself during the battle for Earth. Now, he led a battle group of 20 ships deep into Kelthian space. His orders were simple but dangerous. Find the species that the Kelthians had enslaved. Free them and make new friends. "Approaching Keth 7, announced his navigator. Lieutenant No Ji-won. She was small but fierce, with quick eyes that missed nothing. "Take us out of hyperspace," Do-hyun ordered. Slowly. "We do not know what we will find." The ship dropped back into normal space, and the planet appeared before them. Keth 7 was an ugly world. Its surface was covered with mines and factories, connected by endless roads and rail lines. Smoke rose from 1,000 chimneys. Even from space, the planet looked sick and tired. "I am reading life signs," said Science Officer Ha Mireille, a young woman with gentle hands and a brilliant mind. "Millions of them. Not Kelthian. Different species. They are concentrated in large camps near the mining facilities. Slave labor," Do-hyun said quietly. "The Kelthians use them to dig for ore." He opened a communication channel. "This is Captain Shin Do-hyun of the United Earth Defense Force. We are here to help. We come in peace." For a long moment, there was only silence. Then a voice came back, weak and filled with disbelief. "Help? No one helps us. This is a trick." "It is not a trick," Do-hyun said. "The Kelthian fleet that attacked our world is gone. We destroyed it. Now we are here to free you." More silence. Then, "If you speak truth, come down. See what they have done to us. Then decide if you still want to help." Do-hyun turned to his crew. "Prepare a landing team. I am going to the surface." Lieutenant No looked worried. "Sir, it could be a trap." "It could be," Do-hyun agreed. "These people have lived in chains for generations. If there is even a chance we can help them, we must try." The shuttle landed near the largest mining camp. The air was thick with dust and the smell of chemicals. The ground was gray and dead. Nothing grew here. Nothing beautiful could survive in such a place. The camp gates opened, and the slaves came out to meet the humans. They were Marani, an avian species with bodies covered in feathers and large, sad eyes. Their wings, which should have been their greatest pride, were broken and bound. Many of them limped. Many of them had scars that an elder approached. He was old, his feathers faded to gray, his wings hanging useless at his sides. But his eyes still held a spark of something that refused to die. "I am Koro," he said. "I speak for the Marani of this world. You are the humans. We are, Do-Yun said. He bowed, showing respect. I am Captain Shin Do-Yun. Karo studied him for a long moment. You are small. Like us, yes. The Kelthians called you primitives. They laughed at you. They did. And now their fleet is destroyed? Do-Yun nodded. Every ship. Koro was silent. Then, slowly, a sound came from his throat. It took Do-Yun a moment to realize it was laughter. Not cruel laughter like the council had used. This was the laughter of joy, of hope. The small ones defeated the giants, Karo said. Perhaps there is justice in the universe after all. The Marani gathered around as Do-Yun explained why humanity had come. He told them about the council's mockery. He told them about the invasion. He told them about the Shadow Fleet and the battle that followed. And then he told them the most important thing of all. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to rule. We are here to offer you a choice. Join us and we will fight alongside you. Stay neutral and we will leave you in peace. But either way, you are free. The Kelthians will never hurt you again. The Marani began to weep. Some fell to their knees. Others spread their broken wings as if trying to remember what it felt like to fly. We will join you, Karo said, his voice thick with emotion. We will fight with you. Not because we love war, but because we love freedom. Word spread from Kef 7 to other worlds. The humans were coming. Not as conquerors, but as liberators. One by one, the species enslaved by the Kelthians rose up. Some fought. Some simply walked away from their chains. But all of them looked toward Earth with new eyes. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Oh Eunji led a different kind of war. She commanded the Ghost Corps, humanity's intelligence division. Her operatives were the best in the fleet, trained to move unseen, to gather secrets, and to plan ideas. On the shadow station of Narix 4, she met with representatives of species still loyal to the council. They came in secret, afraid of being discovered, but curious about the humans who had defeated the Kelthians. The council is weaker than you think, Eunji told them. She was a small woman with a calm voice and eyes that saw everything. The Valorians control through fear and money. They make you depend on them. They keep you fighting each other. But what would happen if you stopped? Delegate Sivas of the Irani Collective was there, the shadow being who had spoken against the Valorians during the human delegation's visit. We would be destroyed, he said. The Valorians have the largest fleet, the most advanced weapons. Do they? Eunji smiled. The Kelthians had a large fleet. Advanced weapons. Where are they now? Sivas had no answer. The council is not united, Eunji continued. Half of you hate the other half. The Valorians keep you all under control because you believe you cannot win alone. But what if you were not alone? What if you had allies who fought not for power, but for freedom? She placed a small device on the table. It projected an image of the human fleet, now grown to 500 ships as more were built and more species joined their cause. Earth offers you a partnership. True partnership. Not masters and servants. Not rulers and ruled. Equals. Fighting for a galaxy where no one has to kneel. The meeting lasted for hours. Not everyone agreed. Some were too afraid. Some had been under the council's control for too long. But others began to nod. Others began to hope. When Eunji returned to the fleet, she brought with her promises of support from a dozen species. Not open rebellion, not yet. But information, resources, safe places to hide. The foundation of a resistance. 1 year passed. In that time, humanity changed the shape of the galaxy. The Kelthian dominion fell. Not in a single great battle, but piece by piece. As planet after planet was liberated and the Kelthians found themselves alone against a growing tide. Finally, The S horizon entered orbit around the Kelthian homeworld. Admiral Park Suho broadcast a message to the planet below. You came to Earth with threats and violence. You promised to burn our world and enslave our children. You laughed at us. He paused. We are not here to laugh at you. We are not here for revenge. We are here to offer you a choice. Join us and help build something better than the old empire. Fight us, and we will end your species today. The choice is yours. The Kelthians chose to live. Within weeks, the former conquerors had become allies. Not all of them were happy about it. Many still hated the humans. But they understood that the galaxy was changing, and they could either change with it or be left behind. The rising had begun, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. The Galactic Council mocked humanity until Earth unleashed a war that shattered the stars. Part 4. The Shattered Stars. The Galactic Council had not met in emergency session for 800 years. The last time was when a black hole had appeared near the Valorian homeworld, threatening to swallow their entire system. That crisis had been solved by science and patience. This crisis would not be so easy. High Councilor Threx stood at the center of the great chamber. His crystal wings spread wide, catching the light from 1,000 floating lamps. Around him, the remaining 11 founding species gathered. The Kelthian seat was empty now, a reminder of how quickly things could change. They have gone too far, Threx said, his voice clicking through the translators. The humans have destroyed one of our founding members. They have spread chaos through our territories. They have turned our own subjects against us. This cannot stand. Delegate Morvax was dead. The entire Kelthian military command was dead or captured. In their place sat a new representative, younger and more frightened, who said nothing. What do you propose? Asked Delegate Vex of the Umbral Collective. His shadow form shifted and moved. We underestimated them once. Our most powerful member attacked them with a full invasion fleet and was destroyed in hours. Hours. Then, we do not underestimate them again, Threx replied. We combine our forces. All of us. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. We create an armada unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. And we crush them before they grow any stronger. The debate went on for days. Some species feared the cost of such a war. Others feared what would happen if they did not fight. In the end, fear of humanity won. The combined armada took 6 months to assemble. 10,000 warships from 9 species. Dreadnoughts and cruisers and fighters and bombers. Weapons that could crack planets. Shields that could stop stars. It was the most powerful military force ever gathered in the history of the galaxy. Admiral Park Suho received the report in his quarters on the horizon. Captain Yoon Sierra stood before him, her face pale. 10,000 ships, she said. We have perhaps 600, including our allies. Park was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. It was not a happy smile. Good, he said. Good? Sierra could not hide her surprise. They are coming to us. All of them. All at once. Park stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. If we defeat them here, the war is over. No more running. No more small battles. One fight to decide everything. And if we lose, then we lose everything. Park turned to face her. Gather the fleet. Send word to our allies. We meet them at the Void of Carthex. The Void of Carthex was a region of dead space, far from any star or planet. It was chosen because there was nothing there worth saving. Nothing that would be destroyed in the crossfire. Just empty darkness, perfect for the largest battle in galactic history. The human fleet arrived first. 600 ships, small compared to what was coming, but each one a work of art. Dr. Lee Hanna had spent years improving their technology, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The particle lances were stronger now. The engines were faster. And there was something else, something she had not told anyone about yet. "The stellar lance is ready," she reported to Admiral Park on a secure channel. "But I hope we do not have to use it." "So do I," Park replied. "But if we have no choice?" Liana was silent for a moment. "Then we will do what we must." The combined armada arrived in a wave of light and power. 10,000 ships dropping out of hyperspace at once, filling the void with their presence. They were beautiful in a terrible way, like a storm made of metal and fire. High Counselor Threx commanded from his flagship, the Valorian Crown, largest of all the vessels. He looked at the tiny human fleet and felt something he had not felt in centuries: confidence. "They are brave," he admitted. "Foolish, but brave. Open a channel." His message reached every ship on both sides. "Humans, you have caused much trouble for this galaxy. You have broken our laws and destroyed our order. But I am not without mercy. Surrender now. Give up your leaders and your technology. Accept your place as servants of the Council, and we will allow your species to survive. This is your final chance." Admiral Park's response came quickly. "High Counselor, you laughed at us when we came in peace. You sent the Kelthians to enslave us. You have oppressed countless species for thousands of years. And now you talk of mercy? A pause. Keep your mercy. We will take our freedom." The battle began. Energy beams crossed the void in patterns too complex to follow. Missiles flew in swarms. Ships exploded in bursts of light that would have blinded anyone watching without protection. The combined armada pressed forward with the weight of numbers, trying to overwhelm the human fleet through sheer force. But the humans did not fight like anyone expected. Park had spent months preparing for this moment. He knew he could not win through firepower alone. So he used everything else: speed, surprise, tricks that no species in the galaxy had ever seen. The phase shift technology was humanity's greatest secret. Dr. Lee Hana had discovered that ships could exist partially outside of normal space, becoming almost impossible to target while still able to attack. When the human fleet activated their phase shift drives, they seemed to flicker in and out of reality, appearing in one place, firing, then vanishing before the enemy could respond. The combined armada's formation broke as ships tried to hit targets that were not quite there. Cruisers crashed into each other. Dreadnoughts wasted their ammunition on empty space. Fighters flew into traps they could not see until it was too late. Captain Shindo Yun led a strike force against the heart of the enemy fleet. His ships moved like ghosts through the chaos, striking at command vessels, disrupting communications, spreading confusion wherever they went. "Stay together," he called to his crew. "Watch each other's backs. And remember why we fight." Lieutenant Commander Oyunji coordinated intelligence from a safe distance, feeding information to every ship in the fleet. She saw patterns in the enemy's movements, weaknesses in their formation, and she used everything she learned. "The Valorian flagship is vulnerable on its port side," she reported. "Their shield generators are running hot. One good hit might take them down." Park received the information and made a decision. "All ships, new target. The Valorian Crown. Everything you have." The human fleet turned as one, a dance of light and fire that cut through the chaos. They poured everything they had into a single strike, aimed at the heart of the enemy. The Valorian Crown shields flickered, flared. A particle lance tore through the flagship's hull, carving a wound that could never be healed. High Counselor Threx felt his ship dying around him. "Impossible," he whispered. "This cannot be." But it was. The battle lasted 14 hours. When it ended, 6,000 Council ships were debris floating in the void. The human fleet had lost 200. It was not a victory. It was a massacre, but Threx was not dead. His flagship was crippled, but he had survived. And there were still 4,000 council ships left, enough to continue the war. Enough to fight back. That was when Admiral Park gave the order no one wanted to give. Dr. Lee, activate the Stellar Lance. The weapon had been built in secret, hidden on a ship that looked like any other. It was powered by technology that humanity had barely understood, channeling the energy of a star itself into a focused beam. It had never been tested in combat. It had never been tested at all. The target was the Valorian homeworld sun. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched as the human weapon struck. The star flickered, dimmed. Spots of darkness appeared on its surface. For a terrible moment, it seemed like the sun would die, taking the Valorian homeworld and all its people with it. Then the star stabilized. The darkness faded. The sun returned to normal. Park's voice filled every channel, calm and cold. That was a warning. We can extinguish your stars. We can end your worlds. We do not want to. We want peace. Real peace. Not your hierarchy of oppression. The choice is yours. The council had no response. 4,000 ships, the last of the combined armada, hung in space, waiting for orders that did not come. Their High Counselor was defeated. Their confidence was shattered. Their belief that they were the masters of the galaxy had been proven wrong. Slowly, one by one, the council ships began to power down their weapons. The war was over, but the real work was just beginning. The surrender came 3 weeks after the Battle of Carthex. High Counselor Threx, his crystal wings now cracked and dull, traveled to Earth personally to sign the treaty. It was, he admitted privately, the longest journey of his life. The ceremony was held in Seoul, in a plaza that had been rebuilt after the Kelfian bombardment. Where bombs had fallen, now flowers grew. Where buildings had burned, now fountains sparkled in the sunlight. The people of Earth had chosen to make this place beautiful, a symbol of what they believed in. Supreme Commander Cho Minho stood at a podium, facing representatives of 97 species. Some had been members of the old council. Others had been slaves. Others had hidden in the shadows, afraid to be noticed by either side. Now they all stood together, uncertain, hopeful, waiting. We did not ask for this war, Cho began. His voice was carried by speakers throughout the plaza and broadcast to 1 trillion beings across the galaxy. We came to you with open hands. We asked to be your friends. And you laughed at us. You mocked us. You sent your fleets to destroy us. He paused, looking out at the crowd. Faces of every shape and color looked back at him. Eyes and sensors and other organs he had no names for, all focused on this one moment. We could have destroyed you in return. Some would say we should have. You threatened our children. You killed our people. You tried to make us slaves. Another pause. But that is not who we are. Admiral Park Suho stood in the crowd, Ambassador Kim Yuna at his side. Both of them bore scars from the war, marks on their bodies and deeper marks on their souls. They had seen things they would never forget. They had done things they would always question. But when Cho spoke those words, Park felt something loosen in his chest. Something that had been tight for a very long time. Humanity has known suffering, Cho continued. We have known war and cruelty and oppression. We have done terrible things to each other throughout our history. But we have also learned. We have learned that the only way forward is together. Not as masters and slaves, not as rulers and ruled, but as equals. He turned to High Counselor Threx, who stood nearby with his guards. The old Valorian looked tired, defeated, but there was something else in his eyes now, something that might have been understanding. The old order is finished, Cho said. The Galactic Council as it was no longer exists. In its place, we propose something new. A galactic commonwealth. A union of equals where every species has a voice. Where no one is above the law, and where freedom is not a gift from the powerful, but a right of every living being. He held out his hand to Threx. Will you join us? The galaxy held its breath. Threx looked at the hand for a long moment. He thought of everything he had lost. His fleet. His power. His certainty that he was right. For thousands of years, the Valorians had ruled. They had believed it was their destiny. They had believed they were better than everyone else. They had been wrong. They had been wrong. Slowly, carefully, Threx reached out and took Cho's hand. We will join you, he said. His voice was quiet, but the translators carried it to every corner of the plaza and every corner of the galaxy. We have much to learn, and perhaps much to teach. The crowd erupted. Cheers and calls and sounds that humans had never heard before, all blending together into something like music. On 100 worlds, beings who had never met a human celebrated in the streets. On 1,000 ships, crews who had fought against Earth began to see their former enemies as something else. As partners. As friends. As family. The weeks that followed were filled with hard work. The Commonwealth did not build itself. There were arguments about borders and resources and old grievances that would not die easily. Some species refused to join at first. Some would take years to trust. Some might never trust at all. But the foundation was laid. Dr. Lihana dismantled the Stellar Lance 1 week after the surrender. She took it apart piece by piece, and she scattered those pieces across the galaxy where they could never be reassembled. Why? Asked Captain Yoon Sera when she heard. That weapon won us the war. Some weapons should never exist, Lihana replied. We proved our point. We showed what we could do. Now we need to prove something else. We need to prove we can be trusted. That we are not just another empire waiting to happen. The Kelthians, former conquerors, became the first species to fully integrate into the Commonwealth. It was not easy. Many of them still believed in the old ways. Many of the species they had enslaved still hated them. But under the guidance of human advisors, they began to change. They freed their remaining slaves. They opened their borders. They learned slowly and painfully how to be neighbors instead of masters. The Marani, whose broken wings had touched Captain Shin Do-hyun's heart on Keth 7, received a gift from humanity's medical scientists. A treatment that can heal old injuries and restore flight. Elder Koro was the first to receive it. When he spread his wings for the first time in 50 years, when he lifted off the ground and flew in a circle above the crowd, the sound of his joyful cry echoed across the plaza. Other Marani joined him, one by one, rising into the sky like a flock of birds finding their way home. Do-hyun watched from below, tears running down his face. This is why we fought, he said to no one in particular. This is what it was all for. Lieutenant Commander Oh Yoonji retired from the Ghost Corps. She had spent too many years in the shadows, lying and manipulating and doing whatever was necessary to win. Now she wanted to do something different. She became the Commonwealth's first director of reconciliation, working to heal old wounds between species who had been enemies for generations. It was harder than fighting. It took more patience than any battle. But every time a former slave shook hands with a former master, every time a peace treaty was signed between old enemies, she knew it was worth it. Captain Shin Do-hyun returned to the stars, but not as a warrior. The ESS Retaliation was rechristened the ESS Discovery, its weapons replaced with scientific equipment. Its mission was no longer to fight, but to explore. To find new worlds, new species, new wonders. To go where no one had gone before and return with knowledge instead of conquest. 10 years passed. A new monument stood at the heart of the Commonwealth capital on Vethis Prime, the same station where humanity had once been mocked and humiliated. The monument was simple but powerful. It showed beings of 100 different species, hands and tentacles and claws all interlinked, reaching together toward the stars. The inscription read, "They laughed at us. We could have made them weep. Instead, we chose to make them family." Admiral Park Suho, now old and gray, visited the monument on its dedication day. Ambassador Kim Yuna walked beside him, her hair white now but her eyes still sharp. "Do you think we did the right thing?" she asked. Park looked at the monument for a long time. He thought of all the battles he had fought, all the lives lost on both sides, all the fear and anger and hate that had burned so bright during the war. Then he looked around at the plaza. He saw Valorians talking with humans, Kelfians playing with Marani children, umbral shadows dancing with creatures of light. A galaxy that had been broken, learning to heal. "I think we did what we had to do," he said finally. "We showed them we could fight. Then we showed them we could forgive. I do not know if it was right, but I know it was human." Kim nodded slowly. "Then perhaps that is enough." They stood together in silence, two old soldiers watching a new world being born. Far above them, among the stars, the ESS Discovery emerged from hyperspace near a planet no one had ever visited. Captain Shin Do-hyun, older now but still burning with curiosity, looked at the world on his view screen. "Unknown species detected on the surface," reported Lieutenant No Ji-won from her station. "They seem primitive, pre-space flight." Do-hyun smiled. "Then we watch. We wait. And when they are ready, we welcome them. As equals." The galaxy had laughed at humanity once. Now, humanity was helping to build a galaxy where no one would ever need to laugh at anyone again. The war had shattered the stars. But from those broken pieces, something new had risen. Something better. Something that felt, for the first time in a very long time, like hope.